Hey everyone, welcome back to a model a day. So this is another kind of strange one. I've had a little bit of trouble with my system over the last couple of days. For some reason, the capture software that I use, OBS, for some reason was just not saving my files. I would hit stop recording and it would say there was some kind of problem. And so the last couple of things I've modelled, I've actually had to model over and over and over again, and the recordings kept failing. And I've just kind of gave up on that now. I finally think I've got it to work. So I'm just going to get back to modelling. So essentially, this is what I've done. I've done another couple of things here and there. Again, I'm not going to show those just because I'm going to basically redo them now. So this is the ceiling that I came up with. It's a pretty straightforward ceiling. I'll show you the shaded version of this so you can see that I've actually got this wood texture on them. Pretty simple wood texture with a hue saturation value, bump node. And if we go into the shaded view here, or the EV view in this case, what you can see is we have these planks going along the ceiling. Now, this is kind of like a decking type plank, which is not really what I wanted to use, but with a little hue saturation value, jumped into the principal node there to see the final result. You can see it actually creates quite a nice dark wood, which is exactly what I want for this room. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start modelling up the walls here. So what I do want to do is I want to bring up the reference again. So I'm just going to change this back to an image editor and I'll show you some of the reference that I'm actually working from here. So if we go back to, let's see, now I'm actually going to struggle to find which folder this is in because I've actually been using a few different bits of reference. So this is the main bit of reference that I'm using just now. So you can see again we've got that dark ceiling pretty close to what I've actually created. And what I want to do is I want to create this wall section. So I've actually already done this a couple of times just because of recording issues. So I'm going to go in now and do it for, I think, what will be the third or fourth time. So I'm going to try and get that done now. So just looking at the reference, you can see that I have the main kind of struts of the roof going this direction. So I'm going to build this enclove, whatever you want to call it, into this section here. So just looking at it, it's pretty straightforward. We have a raised section here, which is easy enough. Just use a cube. We have these two flat sections at the wall, and we've got a frame framing the whole thing. So I think the easiest way to do this is actually just to create all the framing first of all, and then worry about everything else. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just add in a cylinder. Let's see, I think we'll go back to solid mode for this, and I think I actually just want to work in matte caps just now. I think I'll actually select a different matte cap. I actually quite like using these white matte caps. I'm going to shade smooth this as well. We maybe don't need the reference quite so big. And I see we're working in shading here, so let's just jump out to one of the other setups here. And isolate everything. Okay, let's go into edit mode. I'm going to scale down on the Z plane. And just move this into place. So this is in the middle of the scene already, so I just want it just here. Now it has to be slightly off the tatami mats. I don't want it intersecting with the tatami mats, and I'm going to keep it pretty high poly, I guess. Let's see, I also want to move it up a little bit. I'm just going to put the base where I want the base to be, and then we'll work on the top. Just go into transparent mode, deselect everything, use box select to select everything again, and I'm just going to put that here because that's where the ceiling is. Go back to object mode and we have our plane. I just want to fix the smoothing on that, so again I'm just going to hit auto smooth and that smooths it correctly. Let's just have a little look at the reference. Now just below the roof we have a section here, it's probably about a sixth or a fifth of the room's height. And I think the ceiling might actually be a little bit low, so I'm going to grab both those ceiling parts. Again, I should point out that this part here is actually just a plane, and I've actually used the texture to add in a couple of edges and just create a small little extrude there, and that just gives the actual feeling that these are planks of wood instead of just relying on the texture and the bump map. It actually gives a whole new aspect to that texture just by adding in those very simple extrudes. And the frame itself, these are just cubes with a small bevel on them to give that nice highlight on the edges. So that's what I want to go with here. If we look at the reference, you can see the frame is actually on one side of this, so I'm going to move this over a little bit. I do have to select both. Let's make sure we're not selecting the camera. Okay, so that's a separate object as well. That's strange. I didn't realise that was a separate object there. Okay, so I just want that overlapping very, very slightly. And yeah, again, I think I really do need to heighten this up a little bit, so let's make sure we grab everything. Let's take it up to about there. Again, I'm just working based on what I feel it should be. I'm not really working on specific values or anything like that. One thing I will point out though, there are add-ons that let you take photos and kind of draw lines on them, and it'll figure out where the camera is. It will figure out what kind of lens is on the camera, and it will basically just create a camera in the scene for you, and everything will be to scale. And it's a really good way of making things. Because I'm starting with a scene that's already half built, I'm not going to go that way. Okay, so I'm just going to create these top parts here. So that's going to be this section and this section. I'll just take this up to the top. I'm not bothering about the back of this because I'm just going to keep the face. So let's keep that up to about there. Select that, invert selection, delete faces. Okay, so we're at 7.5 minutes. We're going to keep this video short. I'm just going to rough in this entire area here. Okay, so we're going to take that to about there. Take this to about here. I'm going to add in an edge loop there because I want to take this side and I want to extrude it down a little bit. Not too much. Now that's not quite as straight as I want it, so I'm just going to undo, extrude, and move in Z. And that way I get it more perfect. You can see this actual section here, which is this kind of cream coloured section, is not that longer, or not that much longer than the other side, so I don't want to go too crazy there. So that's going to be that flat section. Back to object mode, I'm going to create the frames now. I'm just going to add in a cube. Again, jump into edit mode, we're going to move this where we want it to be. So if I look at the reference, I kind of get the feeling that this post, which is definitely a cylinder, goes up. We do have a slightly thinner part here than we have down here. I think this solid piece of wood actually kind of curves round and it does pretty much end up right in the middle. The same with this one. It's a little bit hard to tell in the reference, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'm actually going to take it to about here. Let's take this top face. I'm going to work on one side of this. So I'm just actually going to snap back to that section. Grab this bottom face and move this up. Okay, what have we got here? Oh, I've accidentally opened up a Python shell by mistake there. Let's delete that. Okay, so let's just bring this out. I'm going to take this a little bit past where I want it to actually be. I'm going to take this to the middle where it's just overlapping. I think it needs to be a little bit shorter, or a little bit thinner, and then I'm just going to extrude this out. So I'm going to take this to here. I want this to be pretty thick. On the other side of this is going to be a little bit of ceiling, and then it's going to go down at the back, which you can kind of see there. You can see we've got a little bit of that wooden ceiling texture there. We have this little section in here, so we're going to create all that. But this just has to be a cube. There's nothing too crazy about that. It's just going to be a long shape. We're going to just duplicate that. And we'll just move this into place, G and Y. Drag this across to here. I can actually see now that this post in the middle is not exactly in the middle of the room, which is absolutely fine, because you can see this side does seem a little bit wider. I'll just move this out to about here, and we do have those two sections pretty much done. Now that one is definitely a lot thicker, so we'll just move this down a little bit more, take that to about there. Unfortunately, the quality of this image isn't great, so I can't quite tell exactly what's going on here. It's a little bit tricky to figure out, but I'm just going to kind of go by eye and just kind of estimate what's happening there. Now I just want to create this post here. So what I'll actually do is I'll duplicate this again. I'm going to rotate this by 90 degrees on Y. No, on X, I think. Okay, you can see that went off the screen a little bit there, and that's just because the origin was actually in the center of the scene. And we'll just move this across to here. Take that to there. I'm going to move this down. Actually, let's see, where do we want this to be? Now, it's a little bit hard to tell from the image exactly what's happening here, but I would suspect this post is actually pretty thick, pretty square shaped, and probably goes the whole way up the building. So that's what I'm going to kind of base this on. So I'm just going to take this off the bottom and off the top. Don't want any bevels showing up on this one. We'll select it all. I'm just going to move it, let's see, slightly in this direction, slightly in this direction. Maybe a little bit less in this direction. Okay, let's take it to there. Again, as I said, it's kind of hard to see what's going on in there, but I think I'm pretty happy with that. One thing I will say is what it does look like is we have another beam going across this way, and then above this section, I think we're going to have a very specific characteristic thing in Japanese architecture. I can't quite remember what it's called right now. I'll probably butcher it if I try and remember. I'll show you in the next video exactly what that is. I'm just going to move this into place now. Again, I'm just kind of blocking out these bits that I want. Select all and just move this across. You can see I'm doing quite a lot of the moving and things like that in edit mode. There's no real reason for that. For some reason, I'm just into doing everything in edit mode today for some reason. So I want that basically lined up there. Let's grab this. We'll move this all the way across here. Now, obviously, I can't tell what's on the other side of this room. I can tell that that's probably a sliding door. You can see we have a little gap down at the bottom. And again, all these parts of this type of architecture, Washitsu is quite distinct, quite well established. There's quite a lot of reference available for them, as you would probably expect from something that's quite well established. I'm going to move this down a little bit just because I want this area to be bigger. And let's see, we want to add in another one of these mats to this section here. So I'm just going to go to object mode. I'm just going to duplicate this, move this on the XZ axis, or the XY axis actually. I just want to move this into place so that it kind of matches up here. And what I will do is I will go to edit mode. I'm going to grab some verts. Just box select all here. And bring this down to where it should be, which is basically around about here. And it's probably not as thick. So again, I will select some verts here and bring this in, probably to about here. Okay, I think that's going to be okay. That's going to suit me, I think. Okay, and I'm just going to very quickly box this area in, and we'll work on some extra bits in a moment. Let me undo that because I actually created that inside a different material or inside a different object. Bring this out here and take that out to about there. I'm going to bring this a little bit. Yeah, actually, we're going to leave that where it is. We're going to take this up to here. Don't need that overlapping too much. We're going to take this up to here and take this out to just within this post. Bring this across here to again within this post. Okay, now we can get rid of some faces. We want this face gone, and we want the bottom face gone. And all these other faces that remain will go to mesh, we'll go to normals, and we'll flip those because we want those facing inside. And that's pretty much that. One thing I will do is I'll grab this. I'm going to separate it off by selection. Go to object mode, select that face. Back to edit mode, select that face again. I'm going to extrude this across because we want this wall to have some thickness because it is going to be visible on the other side. Let's see, the tatami mat at the bottom needs to be a little bit longer. So we'll just finally do that, and then we'll go on to part 2 in the next video. Okay, so we want to snap that across there. Let's just check all the other edges, make sure we don't have any more gaps. I think we could probably get away with actually selecting this and bringing this in a little bit. I don't actually mind if we have a little gap between the wall and the mat because that's actually fairly realistic, having a little gap. Let's actually select the mat itself and just bring it back from the outer wall. Just move that G and X to move it. Take that to there. Okay. Let's check this. So the texture on that tatami mat is a little bit different than on the other ones. Obviously it's scaled down just a little bit. But we'll be able to fix that. Okay, as far as texturing goes, we'll be able to sort that at the end. But at the moment that's almost a 20-minute long video, so I'm going to leave that there for now. I'm going to do a few more videos today just to kind of catch up with a few days we fell behind earlier in the week. And yeah, that will do for now.